Doreen, tell me,
Yes.
what are three things we should know about you?
Okay, let's start with the basics. So currently I head NightDragon's Israel office. It's Dave DeWalt's fund. He's a very well-known and reputable CEO in the States. Recently, I led our investment in a quantum software programming company called Classiq. That's one. Two, I spearheaded the first build out of a value creation platform of a VC that was in Glilot Capital starting out in 2018 when no one had a structured value creation platform or a CISO's advisory board. Two main functions to that was building out the CISO's advisory board and really teaching them what it means to work with a VC, as well as building a systematic way to achieve product market fit very fast for young companies. The third thing you should know about me, I live in Tel Aviv and I made Aliyah about 10 years ago from Chicago. Israeli born, raised in Chicago, and then moved back 10 years ago. So that's three things to know about me.
So, how did you make your way into venture capital?
Let's see. Well, when I went to study my undergrad, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that people always interested me. You know, why do people make certain decisions? Why do people work in certain things? How to motivate people and how to understand them. So that was one area. And then the second area that interested me was business. Why do some businesses succeed and others not? You know, you can have a really great product, but if nobody needs it at that moment, or if you're not communicating it the right way to the right audience, then it's not going to succeed. And that again ties to people. And then technology, right? How to build out those products. So those three areas always interested me. And that's what I went to study at University of Illinois. After which I had my first role out of school at a company called Conversant. Initially, it was Datomi, founded by Yair Goldfinger, a very reputable Israeli serial entrepreneur who also built ICQ, if you remember. Worked there for 2 years. We were acquired. We were just under 200 people and acquired for 2.3 billion. After which I decided, okay, now's a good time to make Aliyah. So I moved to Israel. And when I got here, you know, I was thrown into this whole startup ecosystem, trying to find what to do next. I started studying at IDC, and a very nice man named Dov Moran came and gave us a lecture to my MBA class. And after the lecture, I went up to him and I was like, wow, Dov, like you're so inspirational. I would love to learn from you and learn what you do at Grove and how you think of your ideas, how you execute them. He was super nice, invited me to his office. We had coffee. I learned more about Grove Ventures and started just cold reach outs to different VCs. I realized VCs actually encompasses those three areas that I'm interested in, which is people, business, and tech. Started sending out LinkedIn messages. This was like 2016 to different funds and got a lot of responses. Obviously some no, but some yes. And I still remember those people who were kind enough to invite me to their office. You know, this young 24, 25-year-old who is not in VC at all, but wants to get into it. And that's how I started building out my network. And even when I worked in Glilot, I would spend 1 day a week just having ecosystem meetings back in 2018. Before Glilot, though, I worked at Microsoft. And that's the real base for value creation, because there I was running this program called Corporate Access, which was part of the Microsoft for Startups department, helping different startups like Big ID, like Panarrays, back in 2016 when they were very, very young companies. So helping connect them to stakeholders and things like that. And that's when I started reaching out and building that network that eventually got me to Glilot.
Amazing. What was the biggest mistake you made?
I don't think there's just one big mistake. I think there's many small mistakes and many small lessons that end up being bigger lessons that you learn down the road. But the main one that I wanted to share was one that I actually learned more in the last few years, which is that there's always going to be another deal. There's this fear of missing out element to venture capitalists, and there's this chasing element to venture capitalists. Of course, you get lots and lots of inbounds, but you always want to make sure that you're on top of the most relevant deal. And sometimes things just don't work out. And I've had several of these experiences in the last couple of years where it just didn't fit the strategy exactly, and we didn't do the deal. And a couple of months later, that same company got a 10x. That's a true story. And I spent a lot of time being like, damn it, that sucks that I missed out on that. But then a few months later, there's another great company and another great company. So if something doesn't work out, yes, it sucks, but there's always going to be another deal. And I think the key is staying focused and remembering that venture is about pattern recognition. Pattern recognition takes time. You need to be in the industry for a significant period of time in order to understand which type of founders you want to invest in, which type of sectors you want to invest in, and then be able to accurately predict what's going to happen in the future and then know where to invest.
What do you wish you knew before you got into venture?
Several things here. I think one, which might be the most important lesson that I wish I knew, the most important thing that I wish I knew before is the importance and value of saying no. Kindly, but firmly. As a VC, you need to make sometimes very fast decisions, and maybe you're not 100% certain of that decision when you need to make it. But there is a lot of value that comes in saying, I'm not ready to make a decision right now, so unfortunately I have to sit this one out. And the founders truly appreciate it because you don't want to waste anyone's time, not your time, not the founder's time. And timing is a big factor here as well. So the importance of saying no, that's definitely something I wish I knew. And I think future venture capitalists should keep in mind that, when you're evaluating a deal, it's okay to say no, or it's okay to say not now, and also give a very honest reason. I think everyone appreciates being genuine. Another thing is, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, is fear of missing out. I think right now the Israeli ecosystem is at an all-time high, and I'm actually going to release the second edition to my Exits Landscape Report very soon. And so I'm just got done analyzing all the exits that have been happening. And I think that right now we're entering or are in a very similar bubble than we were in 2021. A lot of decisions from conversations I'm having with fellow venture capitalists is based on who else is on the cap table and the fear, again, of missing out. And I think even during times like this, it's okay to let others who are on the cap table influence you, but staying true to yourself, what you believe is the right thing to do, regardless of what other people are saying. If everyone wants in on this specific deal, it could be that the second person said yes only because of the first, and the third person said yes because of the second. And so you don't want to get to that point because that's what creates these bubbles. So putting that into perspective, making sure you stay true to yourself and making sure that you know how to communicate to the founders, when to communicate, and that you're always just genuine with them.
What advice would you give to someone else that is looking to get into venture capital?
I think it's always about relationships. You want to make sure that you are building the right relationships for you and for the ecosystem that we're in. It's always about who you know. So it's always about relationships, but at the same time, keep that in mind. Always be kind to everyone. You really never know when you're going to run into them or when you're going to need them or when they're going to need you. That's also one of the beauties of the Israeli ecosystem specifically, is that we're all like a team, the Israel team. Everyone wants to help each other. It's what makes us so strong, the underlying friendship between everyone that is either a founder or an investor or a customer or a CISO or whoever. So value those relationships, but also choose wisely.
What question would you like to leave for our next guest?
Yeah, I think the question I want your next guest to look into is, if you weren't in venture, what would you be doing?
I like that. Doreen, thank you so much.
My pleasure.